Have you ever noticed how defensive people get when you question their credit card habits? Mention that credit cards might not be the financial advantage they think, and watch how quickly intelligent, rational people will defend them. I pay it off in full every month. I never pay interest. I'm getting free money with the rewards. They say it with absolute confidence. They genuinely believe they're outsmarting the system, but there is an uncomfortable truth about credit cards that almost nobody wants to admit. Even if you never carry a balance, even if you never pay a single cent in interest, the card in your wallet is still quietly costing you money, not through fees, through behavior. Let me show you how. Meet Brian. He's 30 years old, lives in Austin, Texas, works as a project coordinator at a tech company, earns $78,000 a year. After federal and state taxes, health insurance, and a standard 401k contribution. His monthly take-home pay is about $4,500. Brian is responsible, he tracks his spending, he pays his credit card off in full every single month. He's never paid interest in his life. His fixed costs look like this: rent on a one-bedroom apartment, $1,600. Car payment on a decent used SUV, $420. Insurance, gas, and car maintenance combined, $280. Student loans, $310. Utilities, internet, phone, $240. Total fixed monthly expenses, $2,850. That leaves him with about $1,650 a month for groceries, eating out, entertainment, and savings. Brian puts everything on his premium rewards credit card. Groceries, coffee, subscriptions, weekend dinners, Ubers. At the end of the month, his card statement shows $1,400 in spending. He pays it off immediately. Zero interest. He checks his rewards dashboard. He earned $28 in cashback. Brian feels smart. He thinks he just got paid to live his normal life. But the credit card company isn't losing money on Brian. They are making a fortune off him, not through interest, through psychology. Here's what Brian doesn't see. Behavioral economists have studied this for decades. When you pay with cash, your brain registers real pain. You hand over physical money, you feel the loss immediately. When you swipe a debit card and see your balance drop in real time, you still feel something. A small psychological resistance. Credit cards were engineered to remove that feeling entirely. When Brian taps his card for a $65 dinner, his brain doesn't register a $65 loss. It registers dinner. The actual payment is delayed, disconnected, abstracted into a number he'll deal with later. This is called payment decoupling, and it has a measurable effect. Study after study shows the same result. People spend 12 to 18% more when using credit cards compared to cash. Not because they're reckless, because the friction is gone. Let's apply that to Brian. He spent $1,400 on his card this month. If we assume a conservative 15% spending inflation due to the frictionless nature of credit, that means Brian would have spent closer to $1,220 if he'd been using cash or debit. He didn't consciously decide to spend an extra $180. He just said yes slightly more often, an extra appetizer, an impulse add-on at checkout, a convenience fee he didn't think twice about. So Brian spent an extra $180, and in exchange, the bank gave him $28 back. He didn't win, he paid $152 for the illusion of winning. Now scale that over time. If Brian quietly overspends by $180 a month because of credit card friction removal, that's $2,160 a year. If he had kept that money and invested it in a simple index fund at a 7% average annual return, here's what happens. After 10 years, roughly $31,000. After 20 years, nearly $95,000. After 30 years, over $200,000. Brian traded a six-figure future for the psychological convenience of not feeling his spending in real time. And the part that makes this so dangerous? He thinks he's being smart. This isn't about interest rates. It's not about debt. It's about a perfectly engineered system designed to make responsible people spend slightly more than they otherwise would, while rewarding them just enough to keep them loyal. So why do smart people fall for this? Because the system preys on three psychological weaknesses: The first is present bias. Your brain overvalues immediate reward and undervalues future cost. Swiping feels good now. The bill feels abstract and distant. The second is mental accounting. You don't think of your credit card as real money leaving your account. You think of it as a separate system you'll deal with later. The third is reward anchoring. Once you start earning points, your brain fixates on optimizing the reward, not minimizing the behavior that triggers it. You start asking, how do I earn more points? Instead of, do I actually need this? The game becomes a goal, and the bank wins every time you play. Financially intelligent people see credit cards very differently. They don't treat them as a tool to optimize. They treat them as a necessary evil for fraud protection and online transactions. They reject the idea that rewards are free money. They understand rewards are a refund on behavior they were manipulated into. Some of them switch back to debit for variable expenses. Others manually track every purchase in real time. A few go fully cash-based for discretionary spending. The method doesn't matter. The awareness does. They reintroduce friction. They make themselves feel the cost, not out of guilt, out of clarity. Because once you admit that the card makes you spend more, the rewards stop feeling like a victory. They start feeling like exactly what they are, a small rebate on a much larger psychological tax. Brian will probably keep using his card. Most people will, but if he ever pauses long enough to notice the pattern, he'll realize the truth. The house always wins, not because you go into debt, but because you never even noticed you were playing. If this helped you see credit cards a little more clearly, consider subscribing to Fundora Finance. Thanks for watching.